Hey guys, Natasha Tessier here. Welcome to my channel. Please hit the subscribe button. I'm kind of in a makeshift situation. We are living in a guest house until our house is built. We just built on acreage. Super excited, but a little crazy. I still have like drills around and my Christmas tree, but sorry I've been missing in action, but I'm back to my channel and would love to meet you guys, figure out who's following, share this with family and friends. Please like the video. That also helps kind of rank it and get me more videos. So today I wanted to go over avoid moving to Texas unless you can handle these 9 negative things. Hey guys, Natasha Tessier, Dwell Realty and Design by eXp in Houston, Texas. Born and raised, would love to help you find your house here. Please feel free to text me, call me, whatever. I also have a form below you can fill out. It goes straight into our system so we can set up a Zoom with you and go from there. Today, I wanted to talk about if you need to avoid moving to Texas, these are the 9 things that you might want to consider before moving here. The first thing I'm going to go over is the heat and the humidity. So this is my opinion. All of Texas is hot in the summer. It doesn't matter if you're in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. They have pros and cons. Yes, Houston is more humid, but we lived in San Antonio for 10 years and there were many, many summers that it would be over 100 degrees, no rain, no nothing, dry desert heat. So the reason I enjoy Houston is, yes, it's a little more humid, but everything stays a lot greener. I just had a client come in from Arizona and they were like, oh my gosh, it's so refreshing because there's tall trees, it's green, and the rain kind of, yes, it stays muggy, but it's not 105 dry heat. So a personal preference, but no matter where you go in Texas, in the summers it's hot. We live in the pool. We live on Lake Conroe. We live near the lake. We play on the lake. We go to the beach. To me, it's better than being in the freezing cold and, 8 feet of snow. So, but yes, it's hot and humid. Okay, so frequent severe weather, including hurricanes and tornadoes. Okay, let's back up on the tornadoes. Never had a tornado here. Now, as you go up north towards Dallas, that's Tornado Alley up through Oklahoma. But here in Houston, I've never seen somebody die from a tornado or anything crazy. We get the warnings. A fence may blow over. I saw a fence at a restaurant blow down. We can have hail and things like that, but it's not like when I lived in Alabama, those were crazy tornadoes and that was scary, but this is not like that. I've never had a tornado do that. Okay, hurricanes, different thing. I've lived through Ike, Harvey, Allison, Alicia in the 80s, I've seen all the hurricanes. Again, Harvey was the worst for sure. It just kept raining and raining and raining. So as far as flooding and things like that, I always tell my clients, if it didn't flood during Harvey, never say never, but it's going to be pretty hard pressed to flood. And the city's done a lot to work with people and try to work with companies. So now, like if you're building a church, you have to have a certain square footage of drainage on that property because the city grew really fast. There was a lot of concrete and there wasn't a lot of drainage. So hopefully that's going to get better. But the hurricanes happen. I'm all the way out in Montgomery. We don't have to evacuate. We just get a lot of rain. I've never been stuck. Sometimes you will lose electricity if it rains and rains for days or freeze. Like we had a freeze. We didn't lose electricity, but I know some people lost it for 8 hours. So some people have generators and some people just deal with it, but it's not as crazy as everybody makes it out to be. The hurricanes, you can plan for them. And if you live in Galveston, that's obviously a big deal down by Pearland. But where we are, it's a lot of rain for, a couple days. So high taxes, particularly property taxes. So we don't have a state income tax. So if you're a high earner, let's just say, I know when we were in Alabama, we were paying 5%. I know some people in California are paying 10%. We don't have any of that, but we do have high property taxes. However, you can kind of combat that. So where we moved just now, our property tax is 1.79. Where I used to live was 2.8. And then there's some neighborhoods that are all the way up to 3.5. So when you're in the newer communities, you're going to pay above 3%. The only one that I personally know of, I'm sure there are more, but I personally know of is Wood Forest. It just went down to 2.69. But all the new Bridgeland and all those are going to be above 3 or 3.5 or whatever, because because what they're doing is they're paying off the infrastructure. So the developer comes in, they buy, do all the electrical and plumbing, and they have to pay that MUD tax off. It's a municipal utility district off over time. So the tax rates do go down. We used to live in Wood Trace, and I think it went from like 3.5 to 3.2 or 3. So it's slowly going down over time. So high taxes, I can set up a search for you, that'll show you, hey, I want to be below 2.5%, and you won't get houses sent higher than that. It's just something to think about. If you're buying 500,000 and it's 1% more, that's 5,000 more a year forever. So it's a lot. You do want to consider that. And then I have limited public transportation options. Yeah, the public transportation, especially out here, is not great. There's a lot of carpooling that goes on. And in the city, you have the Metro bus and things like that, but it's not as good of an infrastructure as I would say is in other cities, especially smaller towns that I've lived in. Seems like it's easier to have public transportation than it is here. Okay, traffic and congestion of major cities is the next one. So, it's the 4th largest city. I think it's going to become the 3rd largest city. Yes, in the city of Houston, there's traffic in certain areas. Like if you're looking at a map and you can see where it says Egypt on the map, which is like 1488 and 2978 out in Magnolia, Montgomery area, at 5 o'clock, that you're going to wait through a few light cycles. 1488 can be crazy during peak times, but then, when it's not peak times, you can hop on and be in the Woodlands from here in 20 or 25 minutes. So it just depends on what time of day you're traveling. However, the big freeways like I-10, 59, all that stuff, during traffic hours, they can be crazy. And I guess the older I get and the more I move out, I used to live in the city and be able to drive in the middle of all that hustle bustle. But now when I go see my parents, I don't love that. I don't love people running me over, and they do. They run you over. I mean, it's a big city, so you got to get up and go, but you will sit in traffic in certain areas. Just think about that. The further out you go, I think the less traffic there is. But there's some neighborhoods, there's one way in and one way out. And so you may sit there for a while. One thing I liked about Wood Forest when we lived there, we just moved from there over to our acreage, is there's 3, almost about to be 4 ways into that neighborhood. With 10,000 people living in Wood Forest, never sat in traffic ever. So that's pretty smart development. Okay, so next we're going to go to the high cost of living. I think comparatively speaking, people are not going to think that it's high cost of living, but definitely the further you go out, the better that's going to be. Like let's just say an alcoholic drink out in Montgomery versus the city of Houston, out to dinner, a steak, things like that. It's going to be a lot less expensive the further you go out into the country. But I would say all my clients that I ask, generally speaking, they feel like everything is cheaper. The gas is cheaper. The groceries are cheaper. Just going out to dinner is cheaper. So they're saving in the long run anyway. But I also hear that a lot of them make less money. So it kind of balances out a little bit. I do have some that are entrepreneurs and starting their own businesses here, and they're very, very successful. So I think it just kind of depends on your line of work and what you do. Okay, so there's political and cultural divisions. So I think that's across the nation. Some people are conservative, some people are liberal. Obviously, you can tell by the way that it votes. Harris County is a more liberal county. Montgomery County is one of the most conservative counties in the state. I think Houston's been named one of the most diverse cities in the nation. So there's a lot of diversity in the city. But, I think that climate is wherever you go. And I think you've got to find what pleases you and your family and then move to that area. So I think everywhere you go, even my clients from California tell me, I live in the conservative part of California, or I don't, or whatever. I just think you're going to have that. That's what makes the world go round. So you're going to have diversity no matter where you go. Some areas have limited job opportunities. I would say as a whole, though, that this is not as true, because as the city grows, there's more and more people moving to Texas every single day. So then there's more and more job opportunities. However, like in real estate, I think I've heard that there's 40 or 50,000 agents here. So, it might be a little bit harder to find your way in certain careers. But for the most part, most of my clients, like teachers, are being hired immediately, nurses, all those things, they're all being hired pretty quickly. So that should help. And then the risk of flooding, particularly in coastal areas, I kind of mentioned this earlier. earlier. I've never sold a flooded house. We have to disclose that. So I think that we get kind of a bad rap with that, and that everybody thinks, oh my gosh, Houston floods all the time and it's terrible. But again, I've never sold a flooded house. So yes, there are houses that flood and there's areas that flood over and over and over again. Your agent should be able to, let you know which areas those are. And then, a lot of my investors will look at flooded houses. Again, I've never sold one, but they'll want to look at them because they're affordable. The only problem is you obviously have to have flood insurance. That's gone up a lot since Harvey. And then, it puts that stigma on your house for resale. So I personally wouldn't buy a flooded house unless I absolutely had to, but I don't think there's a reason to do that. I hope this helps, and reach out anytime. I have a form below you can fill out. You can ask me anything at any time. You can text me, you can call me, you can email me, any way you want to reach out, or the best way is to fill out that form below so I can get to know you better and set up a Zoom with you. So anyway, I hope this helps, and I hope that you guys all have a blessed day.